How are you, my dear brother?
I'm good. I'm so happy to have this Shabbat, this Saturday, finally quiet after 14 months of war here up north in Israel. We always you have daily explosions, some kind of an alarm going off, jets, whatever, you name it. And it's
Yeah.
finally today was so quiet the entire day. Could hear the birds, and you had just that calming and peaceful feeling that I've so missed here around me. How are you?
Well, finally, I'm good. I'm happy to hear it. I'm happy to hear that, you know, we have some kind of peace, even if it's momentary,
Yeah,
that there's some kind of peace, like, a pause to the insanity. Um,
yeah. So
and
speaking of insanity, this we wanted to talk about a different type of insanity in this podcast.
yeah.
Name it.
And yeah, we did work. We did actually. I'm sorry. I personally feel like I got off topic a little bit, but that's okay because I have my topic right in front of me right now, and the topic is basically work-life balance. Let's talk
Right.
about work-life balance,
Which
right?
is also a type of insanity.
Which is also its own type of insanity. I would say that most modern places around the world have a serious problem of understanding the concept of work-life balance, and there's also a lot of workplaces that you where you start working and they all preach about work-life balance, but in reality, none of that is actually being enforced. None of it is being implemented. So, basically, what is work-life balance? It means you work a certain amount of hours, you get whatever tasks you have in front of you, you get it done, and then that's it. You leave the office, you leave the workplace, wherever it is, whatever it is that you're doing, no matter what you do for a living, whatever tasks you have, no matter what type of job, you leave it and you go focus on your own life. Okay, you go home, take a shower, you eat something, and then you spend time with your family, you spend time with your friends, you spend time with your art, you spend time with whatever it is that you want to do, and nobody should intervene with whatever it is that you want to do. Because aside from what you want to do, you also have some things in life that you also have to do. You have to attend your own needs, your family's needs, your in on occasion your friends' needs, right? Um, so basically, yes, people are having a hard time uh, remembering to do that. They have a hard time insisting on it also. So basically, the idea is to make sure that work-life balance is something that you enforce on a regular basis, no matter where you go, where you work. And that's just my personal opinion. What do you think?
All right. Let's put some reference for those who are not familiar with us. First of all, that you are broadcasting from the United States and I'm broadcasting from Israel. And you were born in Israel, and I was fortunate enough to live a period of time of my life in the United States and in Europe. So we know those types of cultures, right? The Israeli culture, the American culture, and the European culture or the West European culture. The thing is like that. West European culture and Israel are very much influenced by American culture. Israel being even more influenced than the European because of Israel being a relative new state or young state and the American influence in the region in general. So when we are talking about why do we say that it's off balance, that it's insanity? Because we're seeing first that more and more people are don't know that fine line between job, hobby, family, general life. Okay, that is one
Hmm.
thing. The other is the demand, the growing demand and pressure from the corporate world on the workers to fully invest in what they do, right? And we know today that this pressure leads to high blood pressure, leads to X amount of diseases, and probably it's the first or the second major disease causes in the Western world, pressure, stress, all right?
Yeah.
So we need to be aware of that before we even engage in this conversation. Now, why did we get even to that point? It's because of money and economics. This is a world, the Western world is based on money and economics. It's now the religion of the world. You can see it on almost all leaders of the world. They are economic leaders, right? You look at Bibi Netanyahu, you look at Donald Trump. Those are the people that represent, those are those that represent the people, and they are foremost, their agenda is economy, right? So that means that humanity has reached a point where economy is above everything else. Money is above everything else. You see it also in movies, right? You hear it in music today. And this is where we got a bit off track. Because I like to
Quite a bit.
remind people that money is not the goal. Money is a mean. Money is a mean to get something in life, right? We cannot just, the money is not the end goal. Money is not the final stage. We always want to acquire money so we can get something else. So we have, in a way, harnessed the carriage in front of the horses. We need to remember, wait a minute, hold on. We got things a bit off track here. Now, even when we say work-life balance, right? Sadhguru reminds us that you cannot balance anything with life because life is everything. Work is included in life. Life is the entirety, the whole of all of this what we experience here. May it be friendships, may it be personal development, may it be spirituality. Everything is engulfed in what we call life, which is the amount of time we have to spend on earth in one lifetime. So even saying work-life balance is a bit off track. What we actually need to say, or how we should start thinking is, okay, work, non-work balance in what we call life. So when we look at this and we say, okay, when we have X amount of time that we spend at work, but my life is actually outside work. When I'm at work, I'm functioning. I'm functioning. And this is mostly for those who are, how you call it, they work for somebody else.
Contractors?
Contract or non-independent, how you call it? Yeah, people on salary, right?
Right.
So this is mainly speaking to these people. When you go to work, then you have a function, you have a distinct function. You are part of something bigger than yourself. You are in service of something else. So it's not about you, right? Actually, work, for most people, it's not about them. It's about something bigger than themselves. Now, even if you go to bosses or to entrepreneurs, even for them, work means something bigger than them. It means they have created something, an establishment, a business, a company. They have created something that they themselves are just part of it. So when we are going and we spend X amount of time a day or X amount of time a week in something that we call work, then we actually mean, okay, I am putting myself into something that is bigger than myself. Therefore, I have a function. And I should remember that it's not about me, it's about something else. And this is also why it's important that when I leave work, I concentrate back on myself. Because at work, I've concentrated on something which is not me, something that I'm part of, but is not completely me. It's not a one-to-one me and the company, me and my job. It's not.
Right.
We should remember that the focus when we are at work is on something different, on something bigger than ourselves, something even outside of who we are. And when we go back home, we are focusing on ourselves. Now, even there, this is something, if we focus on our self-development, if we focus on our hobby, this is usually also something that you can call self-development or leisure time, right? This is for the soul. Even if we focus on something that is like my home or my family, even that is closer to the person that I call myself than my job, right? Because this is my main responsibilities are for my body, for my emotional state, for my mental health, as well as for the ones that I have to take care of. May it be my partner, may it be my children, may it be my parents. And only then it gets to, my neighbors, my surroundings, my friends, and so on and so forth. But there is a different focus, and that focus is imperative for life. If I run myself down at work, if I completely, this is actually what is happening to most people, is they lose self-identity. They lose themselves, right? They start more and more to equalize or see themselves as the identity of the worker, or as the identity of the company, as the identity of their job. And they forget that it's not. They forget that they are more, much like the company or the job is more than who you are. Your life, your personal life, is way more than your function in that job, right?
Right.
So this is where people lose, they go off track. They lose their identity, or they identify themselves too much with something which is not truly them. And then, because they lose themselves in it, they don't notice anymore that fine line, that clear boundary. Where do I put my time for work? Where do I put my time for non-work, for what I call myself, for what I call my home, for what I call my family? That line, that border, that boundary stop existing because people stop identifying themselves with who they truly are and start more and more identifying themselves with their function or with their job or with their company. And we see this happening also in other aspects of life, just like you have people identifying themselves with a sports team, right? I remember when I was a teenager, I identified myself so much with several sports teams that I got upset when they lost, which today for me makes absolutely no sense. Probably for many people it will still make sense, but to me it doesn't make sense anymore. To lose my serenity, to lose my emotional health,
Your sanity.
yeah, my sanity and my serenity over the performance of a team which I'm not part of. I'm not playing in that team. I'm not
Yeah,
a
it's, it's
stockholder of that
crazy.
team.
It's not normal. It's not normal. Like, I live in a very quiet neighborhood, for example, just like you. We live in very, very quiet neighborhoods, lucky for us. But Sometimes when there's a game in Israel, it's kaduregel, soccer, football, proper football. Over here, it's the not so proper football.
American
It's
football.
the handball that people call football. And and it'll be over here, it'll be like something like on a Sunday or whatever, there's a game. And it's nice and it's quiet. And I'm just sitting in the living room, minding my own business, maybe watching a movie quietly, or maybe sometimes I'm in the studio and this and that. And all of a sudden, ah, you son of a fucking bitch, motherfucker! No! How dare you! Blah, 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 blah. And then I'm like, holy shit, we have a case of domestic violence amongst one of our neighbors. I better call the cops. What the hell is going on? It's absolute insanity. The point is, they have given themselves to this concept so much that they basically separated themselves. They've separated their own identity here into something that's completely insane that has nothing to do with them, right? At the end of the day. So same thing kind of goes with work. A lot of times I see people that bring their work home with them. Now, not to be mistaken, you people work from home and that's beautiful. But if you don't work from home and then you bring your work home after you're done working, there's a problem. I
Yeah.
personally believe that you should have left work at work. Once you clock out, you clock out. And then you have this new slave labor thing, this new slave labor phenomenon going on in this country is that people that work on actual salary. In other words, you work for, we say globally, we say global in Hebrew, right? You and I. It's basically you get paid the same amount every month, no matter what you do, or every week, or depending on where you're at. What does that mean? It means that at that moment, you've basically agreed to work as many hours as they want you to work, even if it goes past 8 hours. The reason why we are supposed to work 8 hours, these are hours that were set by all kinds of organizations and unions and stuff like that, to where you're supposed to work your 8 hours, and then so you don't lose your sleep and your sanity. Okay, you're supposed to stop and go home, and you're done working for the day. When you're working on salary, that means that by default you've agreed to work as many hours as necessary. Now, in some cases, for a lot of people, it also works the other way. They work salary, they get paid this huge lump sum every week or every 2 weeks or a month, depending on where you're at. And they work fewer hours, right? There were days I had when I used to work salary in my previous job where I worked a total of 4 hours once a day, and then worked 6 hours the day after that. There were days where it happens, but the goal of salary, just so you know, is never to your advantage, but it's to the advantage of the corporation that hired you. And it's usually a corporation that's going to hire you salary, or otherwise a really, really big organization like government and such, because government employees, a lot of them do work salary, if not all of them. I could be wrong about that. Make sure to put a comment if I am wrong about it, or if I'm right about it, or if there's any other
But
specifics regarding
the
that.
point that you're making is important here, that salary is something that is the incentive that you get. It provides people with security because they believe, oh, I'm going to get that, right? I'm promised X amount of money every month. So I'm secure, I'm good. And this is why people buy into it. They buy into it because of the promise. They buy into it because it's secure. But nowadays, we see everything is crumbling down, economics are crumbling down, governments are shaking, everything is shaking, there's no security anymore. And this is to push us beyond the falling into deep sleep or unconsciousness when we are too much reliant on security, right? Because
Right.
that security is providing us with the mundane. It provides us with order. It provides us with that day in, day out, which can be good. It can help us grow. But then we always reach some kind of a glass ceiling, and that glass ceiling, when we reach that, meaning we clock in, clock out, we do the same thing, the repetition, it grinds us down. It puts our soul to sleep. It puts the body and the mind on robot mode, mechanismus, and that is actually degenerative. It works against our evolutionary path. This is
Right.
also one of the reasons why people create all sorts of physical illness, right? Because they sick too much. They are used to the routines, the same things, the same things, the same things. The body doesn't get into any new challenges. The mind gets few or less new challenges. This is degenerative for the system. So it's actually unhealthy for us. And unhealthy is also when we are talking about those boundaries, there is there's something that we say in the spiritual world or the words of the healers. It's called healthy boundaries. Know your boundaries, and these boundaries, we usually speak about this when we talk about relationships, right? Relationships,
Right.
there's you, there's your partner. Each should know his own boundaries. What is the things that one can accept, the things that one doesn't want to accept, and the things where we can find a middle ground. That goes the same for work, because any type of work is a type of relationship. Because you work with other people and you work with a boss. So there's a relationship it's based on a relationship, and people don't know anymore those healthy boundaries. So they commit to something which they're not. And this is just
Right.
taking more and more and more from them, only to remind them, hey, you need to step up. You need to start saying, hold on, I have a boundary. Hold on, you cannot continue taking from me. There needs to be a stop, right? There needs to be a limit. There's a limit to what I can give. There's a limit to what I can do. There's a limit to what I want to sell myself for, right? And we see that happening more and more and more to push people towards understanding their true value. Because if
We
you're
do see
not,
that more.
yeah, if
Yeah.
you're not going to take care of that, then people are going to take more and more from you. They see that you are a yes man, you continue saying yes, you're continuing taking job home, you're continuing staying over hours, you're continuing, jumping immediately when they call you after work, or when they ask you for a weekend, or when they tell you there needs to be a business meeting, or when they tell you to shorten your lunchtime. Then you are selling yourself, you're selling your true self, you're selling your true identity. And then people have the tendency to see, oh, this is cheap. And when something is cheap, it's not being valued. And when something is not being valued, it's not being taken care of. So it's time for us to
Yeah.
start taking care of ourselves.
And I think that this is something, it's what you're talking about is a form of evolution. Sorry, it's a form of revolution, my bad. Um, and this revolution basically is something that we're seeing more and more nowadays. It's something I believe that people used to want to be part of. They wanted to be part of this revolution to where, um, I don't know if you remember, there was this meme for the longest time all over social media where you have one very rich person, well dressed, holding a bag of money, and he's standing on a piece of plywood, a piece of board that is hanging on top of a cliff. So he's on top of a cliff. You think to yourself, oh, he's about to fall. No, but on the other side of that piece of board, there are the people. everyone. That picture is so easy to understand what it is, the message that it's trying to convey. So basically saying that this balance, or ultimately the decision is up to us. If we choose to take our own economic life, our own financial peace of mind, right, into our hands, we can, we have that power. But what's beautiful is that this is something that has been happening. And I would say that a lot of people can agree with me in this. And some people may not agree with me in this, and that's okay. But since COVID, if you remember, people stopped. People did not rush into a new job, right? People had a little bit of financial freedom, depending on, of course, where you're from, because there were all kinds of government, you know, paychecks to basically help you carry out the month or carry the next few months or whatever. It was peanuts, but realistically, yeah, we did receive a little bit of help from whatever government that we're, part of, and um, basically a little bit of COVID relief money. And people started thinking, okay, now that I have this a little bit of money to survive, what is it that I really want to do? So far, I feel like I've been completely exploited. I feel like I've been working crazy amounts of hours, and then just in the blink of an eye, 10 years, 20 years passed. All of a sudden, just like that, what the hell have I been doing with myself? I've been working, I've been slaving away for peanuts. And people start to realize that when they have a minute to sit down and focus and just see, all of a sudden, wake up and just see what's around them and how life is now that they're not working, and they have a minute to be themselves for themselves without any outside pressures. That's when people are starting to wake up. So a lot of times, all it really requires is for a person to just sit down and start asking themselves, okay, what's next? Do I want to enslave myself for all these various companies and corporations and bosses, and work for peanuts, and then overwork myself, and come home completely exhausted to where I have no energy to do anything whatsoever, and then work all these hours on Saturdays and weekends, and basically some people that work holidays? And do I really want that for myself? Or am I going to take this opportunity of not doing anything, where I'm allowed to be sitting with myself, with my own thoughts? Am I going to be giving myself the opportunity to figure out what I'm going to do with myself from this day going forward, to where I will not be repeating the same mistakes as I have in the past by enslaving myself to others, but I'm going to look, how do I benefit from providing a service, but not selling myself, like you so eloquently put it, not selling myself to that one body of work, place, or boss, or whoever that may be.
Right. That's the difference between being in service and being a servant. This is exactly the what we want to focus here is, if you are a servant, then you are serving a master. It's not about you. If you are in service, then you are equal. You are equally viable. You are equally worth as the people you're giving your service to, right? And that economy is not about how much you earn and how much they earn. It's about your self-value. And this is where we should go back to. This is where humanity is asked to go back to that self-esteem, self-value, understanding who you truly are and what you're truly worth. And it's not about just, saying some mantras and, positive thinking and all this blah blah, which is also good, of course. But what I'm talking about here is truly valuing your time, what you are, who you are, and what you want to do. Is having a goal in front of your eyes, is knowing that you are here on earth not just to pass time. You are here on earth to continue developing. You're here on earth to bring your certain and beautiful light. You're here on earth to provide something for the rest of humanity, and they need you. They are depending on you, and nobody else can replace you. This is also important for each and every one of us to start realizing. I am non-replaceable. I am non-replaceable. If I'm working in a job where I am replaceable and I woke up to the understanding that I'm not, then I don't belong there anymore. Because each and every one of us is unique. For most people, they don't see that, they don't acknowledge that, and they put themselves in a job that mirror exactly that back to them. But for the ones who are awakening, and these are the ones who are probably gonna find this video and gonna connect with us on this channel and on other social media. For those people, when we wake up, then we need to realize I am unique. And I came here to bring something very special, and nobody else can do the same thing. So it's about realizing what it is. And then,
Yeah, and it's a great journey to self-discovery, right? I mean, look at this guy. Isn't he cute? I mean, that's just besides the point, but there you go. No, it is a journey to self-discovery also, because if you allow yourself the time to, you like little cheeky? Uh, so it's a matter of it's the journey to self-discovery, right? We live this one life. We're given a limited amount of time to discover who we are, right? And you don't want to be that person who has an identity crisis because you just didn't devote enough time to discover who you truly are. And when you do, all of a sudden you burst with, I mean, I am probably the best example for that. I feel like I haven't really been myself in many, many years. And not because I didn't want to, but just because I didn't know that it was time that was required for me to bring my true self out to the world,
yes,
right?
brother, it's you know, I'm talking a lot about that. This is an evolutionary path. And if you look at a tree, it's just not happening from one day to the next that you get the fruits. First, there's a seed. The seed needs to grow. It takes many years. And then finally, after the branches and the leaves come the flower. The flower needs to be fertilized. Fertilized, how you call it? Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah, for fertilized, yeah.
Fertilized. And then comes the fruit, right? Only then comes the fruit. And that takes time. And that what is actually happening in that time is the unfolding of the information, right? We all come here with a certain amount of information, and that information really wants to unfold. And for it to unfold, it needs to feel safe and secure. And only then it can show this majestic of everything that we truly are and then be expressed into the world. So that takes time. This is why we say this is a ripe person, right? Ripe person, ripe fruit. It needs time. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's especially difficult in our modern society because we are not being groomed towards that. Most of the education systems out there are pushing, at least when you and I were younger,
It's
it
an
pushed us
external
to be a
agenda.
part of a machine. It pushed us to find our place in the system, in the already existing system. Nobody asked us, hey, what did you actually come here for to do on Earth this lifetime? Nobody posed us this question. Nobody even told us this question was possible. right? And that's the thing.
It's amazing. It's absolute. It's mind-boggling. It really is. And first of all, thank you for this reminder. As far as like, taking years and years and years and years of growth in order to realize truly who you are sometimes, and the fact that it needs time in order to express itself the way you said, like the fruit, that there's all these different stages that first need to take place. Thank you for that. And as far as what you just said right now, it is such an important point and something that I think so many people need to hear. And I really wish, they say you cannot just constantly sit and regret the past, but I do feel sometimes like I can regret the past just by not taking, not realizing that questions like what you just said, what you just asked, could exist. Like, hi, what did you come to do in your one lifetime in this life? What did you come here to do? Like, welcome to school. What did you come here to do in your lifetime? Because essentially, school is growth. School is education for you to grow into this world. And so once you have certain basic knowledge, they push you out, they release you out into the world where you can get along. That has proven to fail, not just time and time again, but fail miserably.
Yeah.
Fail to a point to where it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, let's say that this is now different times. The school system has served its purpose, and now it's time to go beyond. Go beyond the basic school system and understand that we as humanity need to grow. We as humanity came to the point that we are one. There's no avoiding it, right? It doesn't matter how many borders you will put. This is what is ridiculous, to try to put borders. Now when we can fly, now when there's an internet, all of this is borderless.
It's borderless, and yeah, exactly. There are way too many borders and boundaries. I mean, boundaries I understand, but borders, yeah. I mean, look, yeah, life is different from what we were taught. And believe me, as exciting as it is to talk about this, in fact, I'm almost thinking that these are the things that we should definitely take notes regarding, um, for it to be our next subject. But uh, I definitely feel like we should go back into whatever it was that we were talking about. But nonetheless, I definitely think that this should be a topic for
You're
our
right.
next
You're right.
podcast.
So
Yes,
let's sum it up. Let's give
yes.
our audience some 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 things tangible that they can start working on when we talk about life work balance. First of all, we want to change how we address that concept. There is no work life uh, balance.
Yeah,
There's
there's
nothing
work
to
and
balance with.
non-work.
Exactly. There's work and non-work balance.
Yeah.
And we want to address the issue of healthy boundaries. Realize that it has to do with whatever we identify ourselves with. Realize that we have been educated to identify ourselves with something which is outside of ourselves. May it be society, may it be religion, may it be, a nationality, and we need to take a few steps backwards and ask ourselves, well, who am I actually? Why am I here? What did I come to do? And the answers are usually lying back in our childhood, because the child had less restrictions, or let's say, all of those התניות בעברית. It, it was early stages to have for the mind to develop into not realizing who am I. There was very distinct understanding, very pure and intuitive understanding of this question, who am I, when we were children. Actually, there was no question. Wasn't a logical question, but there was something innate that drove us towards an expression. And that expression is the unfolding of the seed which we are. This is the information that wants to unfold in this lifetime. So when we go back to the childhood, or we start uncover times of childhood, then we realize how we used to express ourselves back then, where we had limitless imaginary boundaries, right? And
Right.
that expression back then should give us a hint of what it is that we love, of what it is that we are attracted to, of what it is that brings us happiness. And those are key elements for discovering who we truly are. Because nobody said life shouldn't be happy. It's actually ridiculous to think that life should be a path of unhappiness, a path of unfulfillment. It goes against nature. If you
Well,
look
that's
at
what
every
that's
creature,
where it goes back.
yeah, you
Yeah,
look at
I mean
every
that
creature in nature, it is about unfolding. It is about expressing the fullness, right? Reaching
of
that,
its development.
exactly. It's reaching your peak. It's becoming the best of what you can. And that shouldn't stop at the age of 21 or 30 or even 40. Why? Life continues, life goes on, right? The Bible tells us that we get 120 years. So, why should life reach some sort of a peak at the age of 20, 30, or 40 and then just be gradually the same and then going downwards? That makes no sense. Life should always continue to grow. And therefore, we need to always continue to grow. We need to always continue unfolding, understanding what is more inside me that wants to come to light, that wants to express itself. And the best way to start is to look at my past, to look at my childhood, and to start realizing what was back then that got me happy, that got me excited, and see that there's a line, a fine line from then to now, and that goes even into the future. And I can always jump lines or jump, orbits if I choose to. But first, understand who am I and where I come from before I continue to grow, and bring that into my daily experience, right? Bring that into my daily experience. Bring that excitement, that happiness, that unfolding, that discovering of the I am, of who I am. Bring it daily to the surface. So if I have X amount of time at work, I should at least allow myself, I don't know, half an hour, 1 hour a day to express that, to discover that, to sit with myself in quietness and with quietness and ask myself those questions. Have a walk in nature, do a meditation, whatever it's necessary to go back inwards. This world is so attractive, and it's a dopamine peak. Everything is trying to get our attention and to pike the dopamine, and that we focus on that and that we consume more of that. But this is going outside, out of who we are. We need to take some time and focus on the inside. Bring back the focus to this, to what's happening here, to what's happening inside of this, my soul, my spirit, right? Reconnect with those.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, this is all just a big part of also what I wanted to talk about in our next episode, which I will get to that, well, in the next episode, obviously. But yeah, when it comes to self, like growth, discovery, I mean, it should obviously, it's not something that I also don't think that it's something that stops at a certain age, or it shouldn't stop, right? You constantly said that there's a stage of uh, development, right? The stage of self-discovery and all that. So it's something that we should always take under consideration and always be vigilant about continuing to have the right to self-discover and be vigilant of those around us who are trying to suppress that, whether it be false education, whether it be a job, a career, the idea of a career path, and all this and that. There are some things, obviously, with potential that you should not, um, you shouldn't cast aside, right? You just have to listen to your instincts. You have to listen to that little voice inside of you that says what's right and what's wrong, what it is that you should be paying attention to, and what it is that's just trying to scramble your brain with bullshit. So, this is just something that we all need to regularly exercise. And I think that is another, and that is essentially also could potentially be the key to happiness. One of many, right? So, yeah, I mean, I would first of all like to thank everyone for watching. I really appreciate anyone who's been tuning in and anyone who's been following us for a while. You can catch us anywhere and everywhere on social media. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, down below in the description, you can go to sagicohen.com in order to get additional information, whether it's healing meditations and other podcasts, some of which are in Hebrew. Eventually, we will have more and more English material for you to go through. Thank you for tuning in. Sagi, thank you very much.
Love you, brother.
Thank
Thank you,
thank
everybody.
you.
See you
We will
next
see you
time.
next time.